I'm Mark, and this is the Country Life with Columbus Mark. And in this episode, you're going to meet this couple who live full-time in this small van behind us. Welcome, John and Sally Kutyla here. And they have an interesting story. Because people have seen my van, which is 21 feet, that I stay in sometimes 2 or maybe 3 nights so far. But this couple have been living in their van full-time for 2 years, right? And you're about to start your 3rd year.
Yep.
That's correct.
So they left home, which was Pennsylvania. What month, day, remember offhand?
We're just about ready to celebrate our 2nd vaniversary.
Vaniversary, I like that.
October 27th we left that area and started traveling.
So you're right, almost 3 years. And in that time, how many miles have you covered and all that kind of stuff?
Well, in 2 years we put about 66,000 miles on our van.
Wow.
We added it up the other day, and over 33 states we've been in.
So, the neat thing is, my van was used, but it was a factory-built van. John, with Sally's help, completely bought a blank, plain, what do you call it?
It'd be a cargo van.
Cargo van, there you go. Dodge, like mine, a couple feet shorter, and equipped the entire thing, top to bottom.
That's right. We had the advantage of having a cabinet shop on our property. I'm a retired cabinet maker, and so the design of the van, the layout, placement of cabinetry and such was kind of familiar to me. It wasn't a big deal. There wasn't a big learning curve there. Wasn't any, actually. Cabinetry is what I did. But the process to do the electric, plumbing, all the appointments other than the cabinetry took a little bit of research. Actually, we spent maybe about 6-8 months researching, trying to figure out what it was we wanted to put in there. We are not campers. We're not campers before this.
So you did not own a camper before this one?
No.
Have not owned a camper. We're not RVers. We were motorcyclists and traveled the country on a motorcycle. So living small was kind of familiar to us. But it just took a little bit of research, and we, by a little bit of luck, put a van together, and it's been working well for us now for 2 years.
Well, I wouldn't call it luck, because as he mentioned, he's a cabinet maker, furniture maker. It is exquisite inside. It is well built, and there is nothing it is lacking. It has a toilet, it has a shower that you have to go outside to use, but it's got one. It's got beds. It is first rate. You would not be able to find one as quality built as this one. And it's all on how many square feet that you consider the living part of it?
72. It's about 12 feet long, 6 feet wide, round numbers. Adds up to about 72 square feet.
So, folks, go into your bathroom and measure that, because I am sure there are some bathrooms, some of our listeners have larger than your entire van. Yes. It is amazing. And like I said, every fixture's thought out where it goes. I looked on your website and I saw you put in a lot of things and you had to take them all back out because you know how to put the wiring in and plumbing in and put the things back in and make sure it would fit.
Right.
But it's equipped with solar. Do you have solar?
We do have solar. We've got 340 watts of solar, 2 170 watt panels on the roof, which is about all we had room for, given that we have, an air conditioner or a roof vent, a couple of antennas, and an awning. So we were able to squeeze two panels up there, and they work well. They pretty much take care of things if we're not too excessive or greedy with the electric. during
And
the
you
day.
don't have a generator of any sort, right?
We do not have a generator. That
So-
was a decision made from the get-go.
So
No
either you
generators.
get your power from the sun and some power when you're driving down the road, right?
Right, we have an onboard charger, a B2B battery to
There goes the
battery
dog,
charger.
okay.
And then we also have, when we do plug in to shore power, we have a 2,000 watt inverter which has a 100 amp battery charger built into it. So that takes care of all of our charging needs.
So we'll get some pictures, hopefully, put them on while video's playing. But you both had careers. You worked basically for yourself, I guess, right?
Correct,
John?
yeah.
You worked as you said, a volunteer coordinator or something?
Right, so professionally I'm a horticulturalist, but moved into administration of things associated with that. So my last couple of jobs were managing volunteer programs at large organizations.
So a lot of people would think you're living the American dream right now because they have this vision of romance on the road, living self-contained basically and being able to sustain yourself. How did you all of a sudden, having not been RVers, decide that you're going to retire and not just move to Myrtle Beach or someplace like that, a resort, but hit the road full time?
I think at one point we thought, we knew when we retired we didn't want to stay in our house because we had a fairly large house with a fairly big piece of property to take care of.
I saw your garden, it was amazing.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
Well, at any rate, we thought, well, let's just take a long vacation and start looking at some places and figure out where we would like to retire. And the more we thought about it, we thought, well, if we're not going to come back to this house, why keep this house? So then the idea of selling the house came up, and then dominoes just started falling over, and it seemed to make sense to just go out and travel and have some fun and see if we came across a place that was interesting enough for us to want to settle there. And so far we're just enjoying seeing new places. We haven't found one that has said you have to move here.
Have you been making a list though, like 1 through 10, like this place is a 3 and this is a 7, or no? You're just
no.
taking it all in.
Yep.
So 30, how many states have you been through?
33. And that's not just driving through, that means we've stayed there. You
Right,
can't just touch and turn.
Exactly, exactly. I know how that goes.
Liechtenstein.
Right.
I think
That-
Liechtenstein.
That's right.
But it means we've stayed there a few days and gotten a little bit of a sense of the place. There are a lot of places I think we could stay longer that we plan to go back to, but we haven't found that one place yet.
So you're starting year 3, so you're still looking for that one place.
Mm-hmm.
So where are you headed to from here? We're in North Carolina right now. Where's your next stop?
So we had, when we traveled on motorcycles, we had sort of touched the edges of the Smokies, and we want to go back and explore the interior a bit. So we're going to spend about 4 days in the Smokies after here, and then head up to Nashville.
Okay.
The last time we went through Nashville, unfortunately, a lot of things were closed because of the pandemic, and we're hoping that things have relaxed a little bit and we might be able to do more there.
So you're already coming back to some places you've been to before at some point.
And as Sally touched on, we have been to several places. Several of the places we have visited recently are places we've been to on motorcycle, but these are more extended stays, and we're enjoying that. But because of COVID and all of those complications and the closings that we're experiencing, we decided early on last year to just kind of do a perimeter tour of the country. And so we've traveled up and down the East Coast for the first year because it was just complicated to go much further. The following year, we just did that COVID tour, that we'll call it, because there are a lot of people out there and the parks are full, and it was just hard to find places to stay, get reservations, especially on the weekend. So we did a California, Arizona, Texas, Oregon, Washington, northern states tour, And this year, we hope to do a little bit more of the interior and see some of the bigger parks, and just get to enjoy some of the interior of the country this year.
So do you have reservation for every place you go then, or no? Apparently.
Well, for the most part, we do, but we don't plan too far out because things change.
So you'll, in the van, you'll plan where you might be going to next week and try to find places then?
Right, so once we get settled in a campsite, I might sit down. I tend to be the one who makes the reservations, and John tends to take care of the van, and I mean, that's
get
sort
us
of our,
there.
our division of labor.
Do you both drive the van though, or are you the primary driver?
He's the
John?
primary
I'm the
driver.
primary driver.
But you've driven it before, right?
Well, not very much,
Not
no.
very much, but it's small. I mean, it's, how many feet, 19 feet, 18 feet? Bumper to bumper?
Bumper to bumper, I think we're close to 21,
Okay.
really.
Oh, so it's
bumper to
really
bumper.
almost the size of mine.
Yeah, we're about 16, 18 inches shorter than your vehicle.
Okay, okay,
Yeah, I could drive it in an emergency, but John really enjoys driving.
yeah.
I don't think he enjoys when I drive.
Yeah, well, I know how that goes. So, you know, what are some of the favorite things you've seen on this trip? There's been a lot of them, 2 years, but anything, like any 5 things strike you as like memorable and you would always want to go back, or tell people about those 5?
There are sites we've seen, but there are also concepts and history we've seen. Those are
Okay.
sort of different things.
Right.
And so, in terms of concepts, just seeing what the rest of the country is like and seeing what small town America is like is much different than what your imagination of it would be. In terms of physical sites, I think there's some things that are so memorable. The first time going to the panhandle of Florida and seeing the absolutely white sand and aqua water of the ocean was just beautiful. On the West Coast, John talks about, and I'll let you talk about seeing the redwoods.
For me, the most spectacular physical sight were the redwoods in California. It's just an amazing thing to see.
Yeah, I've been to California one time, but we did not make it there, so I would.
Well,
It's definitely worth it.
Yeah, I like to get out and travel distances, but right now I'm staying closer to home, which is fine with me. So, have you seen Andrews Geyser in North Carolina since you've been here yet?
Only on your video.
Okay, so you saw my video. Okay, I was saying that's a must-see stop.
Well-
It's only like maybe an hour and a half from here. You could just head up that road. And,
But it points out that sometimes things that people tell you to go see and you get there aren't as memorable to you as perhaps they were to the other person.
well, of course, if the geyser had been turned on, I can link it above here. If the geyser had actually been working, it may have been spectacular. Actually, no, because I've seen it years ago. But when you've been to Yellowstone, so many geysers are going to look like that. So have you been to Yellowstone yet?
Not yet.
Do you have your senior pass yet?
Yes, we do.
Oh, you bet.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
we've used that quite a bit. We
Yes.
went to
Best deal ever.
It
went
is.
to Big Bend last year, the Grand Tetons. The Olympic National Park is really something. That part of Washington, that Olympic Peninsula is so
Yeah, I've
interesting
never been.
because on the one side you have a temperate rainforest, and you go around to the other side and you've got snow-capped mountains. It's really kind of got everything. I think it would be a very interesting place to take some of those trips you talk about.
Yeah, because I'm not done with my trips, except me personally. So that would be great. So, what advice would you give to someone, either retiree age or even younger, who's thinking about either going on the road, either solo or with a partner, or building a van on their own as opposed to buying one ready-made? What kind of advice would you give people based on all your knowledge now of this experience?
Well, I would say to just do it. Just get out there and do it. And don't worry too much about the details. They'll fall into place eventually. We have brought the van back to friends, houses, businesses, shops, many times to do adjustment changes, modifications, but just get out there and experience it, and don't think about it too much. Just go do it.
Adjust, I would say to adjust the lines of your comfort zone and not be afraid to establish a new comfort zone, because you can meet some wonderful people and do different things you never thought you'd do. And to not let people talk you out of it. You know, there are a lot
Did people try to talk you
There
out
are a
of
lot
it?
of naysayers. Well, there are some people who thought we were out of
Well, I mean, they're seeing your home. I don't know how large your home is. You said it was large. I've seen the garden. But yeah, all of a sudden, your neighbors, you're going to sell this and live in this full time. I mean, that's you know.
That was the stretch for most people.
I bet so.
To you know, they put themselves in our position and say, "Oh my God, I could never do that."
Mm-hmm.
You'd be surprised at what you can do, and you know, adjust your lifestyle accordingly. Nothing is forever. Just go do it.
Go do it. Yeah.
So how long do you think this trip may last? You don't know? You don't have any clue? Going on
Just-
third year. So.
Just sort of as an outlier measurement, we thought if we could get 5 good years out of that van and then regroup,
Maybe move up to about 120 square feet.
Which would be quite a bit larger. So.
It'd be a heck of an.
Would it still be a Class B, or would it have to go to the next Class C or something?
Well,
Yeah.
that's a good question. I mean, we like Bs. We like living in the vehicle we're driving. We like that whole concept of self-contained, and for the most part, being able to go wherever we decide or think might be a nice route to take that day, where you might be a little bit more restricted or limited in a travel trailer, certainly fifth wheel, Class A's. It's a different mindset. It's a different way to travel. This is easy. It's simple. So we chose to do it.
and it's a wonderful adventure for John. I mean, besides being a very skilled cabinet maker, I think I would describe him as a person who just has intense curiosity about how things work. And so this van has been just such a great project because we've both learned a lot of new things. And
I mean, folks, they cut every hole in it, except for the windshields and the side windows in the cab. Every window you cut a place for. You cut openings for the air conditioner and the vent fan, and you attach. He was putting screws into it. I'm not afraid to touch anything on my van. It's all either Velcro, magnetic, which is hard to find some source to hook it to, or command strips.
Yeah.
Or
Well,
string.
Velcro is good. There's
Yeah.
lots of Velcro.
I
in
wish
our
I had
van.
some stock in Velcro. We bought so much
I just
Velcro.
installed a little more Velcro this morning.
And you probably
before we got
know there's
together.
probably heavy duty Velcro and light duty, which I have not yet learned. The one thing I have, Velcro keeps wiggling, but it stays there. But so, well, you know, readers and viewers or whatever should be impressed. And if you want to know more, Sally keeps up a website here, and I'm gonna put the link on the video.
Okay,
but
we'd love to have
It's called
visitors.
thespokenvan.com. But we'll
Right.
put it up so people can check that out. I checked
That'd
it
be
out. It's
great.
got a lot about the van conversion, about your lives, about your trips, highlights of things you've seen and stuff, and you see a picture of her garden that she gave up to move into this 72 square feet of space. So what have you learned about each other living that close together for so long?
Ooh.
I mean, you can't
I'm
exactly
not
have
sure.
a fight.
I'm not sure you can put that on.
Well,
I think we've both developed a greater patience. You really have to have more patience, especially when two of you are inside the van. You know, you have to sort of coordinate your efforts because you can't keep passing each other in the van. And so being more patient with each other, developing a greater sense of teamwork. We're really in it together.
mhm.
And I don't know, what would
Well,
you say?
I would just say the same thing. Patience and tolerance. There's no there's no safe room to go to.
You don't really have a bathroom either.
And
They have a
and-
toilet, but
and-
it's not
and-
quite in a separate room.
Maybe this is too much information, but there's no bathroom, or there's no door on our bathroom. So,
Yes.
we learn a lot about each other. We have learned a lot about each other.
So you've been married 38 years.
Right.
So I'm betting most newlywed couples would have a hard time doing what you've done, because they're still trying to learn each other. You know, they may have think they know each other and tied a knot, but living that close for that long, that's gotta be tough.
Well, it isn't tough. You just have to really like the person you're with.
I don't think I don't think we learned any more secrets. We've just become more tolerant and patient with each other. I think that's the secret.
So have any of your friends back home been convinced to try this as well?
There are lots of people who've said, oh man, as soon as I can retire, this is what I want to do. And we've met other people who aren't traveling full-time yet, but really want to. And we just consider ourselves so fortunate that we're just at a point in our lives where we can,
Mhm.
you know, that we're healthy enough, we're able to, you know, we don't have kids, so we don't have to worry about extended family really.
So that saying,
siblings out there.
don't postpone joy.
That's right.
Fits there. So if you had been able to retire earlier, would you have done this earlier? Would you have liked to have been out on the road 10 years ago?
It's interesting though, we both really liked what we did for jobs.
But that's important.
But as a volunteer manager, I worked with lots of people who were retired. Because that's often when people get into volunteering. And so many people would say, I wish I had done this years ago, or, you know, gosh, I wish I had done that and now I've got a bum leg and I can't, or somebody in the family's ill and I can't leave, or whatever. And so the advice from everybody I talked to was, go ahead and do it. Go ahead and do it. And they were very, very encouraging. I'm very grateful for that.
Well, great. Well, I'm glad to have gotten to meet you. It's just fortunate you found my place.
And the same
It's been
here.
a treat to meet you.
Yeah, well, great. Well, we got another night here coming up. And, so, John and Sally, thanks for being a part. This is Conversations from the Road. Second little part of this playlist here on my channel, The Country Life with Columbus Smart. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share, tell your friends, all those good things. And welcome to my neighborhood. Come back again. Signing off.